The stars shone over a giant metal planet. It was not a world of peace, but a world of war, the arena of worlds, where the strongest fighters from across the galaxy came to prove their power. Every species sent their best. Every battle was broadcast to billions. Winning here meant glory. Losing meant death. On this day, the crowd waited for something new, something strange. A new species had joined the Galactic Council only a few years ago. They were from a small blue planet on the edge of the Milky Way. They called it Earth. The aliens laughed as they saw the newcomers walk into the light. "Humans," one alien hissed. "They look so small." Another laughed. "Look at them. No claws, no armor plates, no fangs. How can they fight?" All around the arena, alien voices mocked them. Some waved banners of the champions, the Xylar Dominion, a race of giant reptilian warriors. Others just waited for the blood show to start. But the humans did not speak. They walked in silence, their boots hitting the metal floor in rhythm. 5 soldiers, no fear in their eyes. Only focus. Their commander, Captain Eleanor Ward, scanned the crowd once, then looked straight ahead. She did not care about the noise. She only cared about her team. Beside her stood Corporal Mason, the heavy gunner, quiet and strong. Private Liu checked her rifle again and again, even though it was already perfect. Sergeant Cole smiled under his helmet, whispering, "Just another day, huh?" Eleanor did not smile. "No," she said. "This one is for Earth." The gate opened across the arena. The Xylar entered, 3 times taller than any human, with armor that looked like living metal. Their leader raised a massive blade and roared. The crowd screamed in joy. "Let the battle begin!" The voice of the arena AI echoed. The ground shook as the Xylar charged. Plasma blasts filled the air. The humans ran for cover, moving with perfect timing. Their helmets showed red lights marking the enemy. The aliens watching laughed again. "They're running already." But then something changed. Sergeant Cole rolled behind a fallen pillar and fired once, a clean shot. The plasma round hit the Xylar leader's chest. The giant stumbled. Before it could recover, Mason's cannon roared and the alien fell. The crowd fell silent. One of the galaxy's strongest warriors was down, killed by a small human. The camera drones zoomed in. The humans were moving fast, almost too fast for the sensors to track. Their teamwork was perfect, covering angles, giving signals, protecting each other. The Xylar regrouped, roaring in anger. They attacked with everything they had, energy blades, shock grenades, brute force. But the humans adapted. They learned. Every second, their movements became smarter. Private Liu jumped from a ledge, sliding under a plasma beam. She fired mid-slide, hitting an alien's knee joint. Cole finished it with a grenade. Another Xylar fell. The alien crowd began to whisper. How can they fight like that? "They are only flesh and blood." The arena announcer tried to sound confident. "The humans are..." using strange tactics. Perhaps luck favors them. But Captain Ward knew it was not luck. It was training. It was unity. It was what being human meant. Now only one Xylar remained as the biggest one. Its armor glowed red with energy. It roared, charging at full speed. The humans fired everything. Bullets, plasma, grenades, nothing stopped it. The creature reached them and smashed its blade down. The ground exploded. Dust and smoke filled the air. The crowd cheered, sure that the humans were dead. For 10 long seconds there was silence. Then the smoke cleared. The Xylar was standing, but shaking. Slowly it fell to its knees. A knife was buried deep in its throat. Behind it stood Captain Ward, breathing hard, her armor cracked but her eyes steady. She whispered through her helmet mic, "Target neutralized." The entire arena went silent. Billions watching across the galaxy had just witnessed something impossible. For the first time in history, a human team had defeated the Xylar Dominion in open combat. In the control room above, alien generals stared at the screens. One whispered, "What kind of creatures are they?" No one answered. Down in the arena, Captain Ward looked at her team. Mason raised his weapon in victory. Liu smiled weakly. Cole laughed and said, "Guess we're not so primitive after all." Ward looked up at the alien crowd. She could feel their eyes, confused, angry, afraid. She spoke quietly, but her voice carried through the comms. "You wanted a show," she said. "Now you've seen what humans can do." The lights dimmed. The arena echoed with silence, and somewhere deep in the galaxy, a new fear was born. the fear of humanity. The galaxy was still talking about it. News waves across hundreds of worlds showed the same scene, humans standing over the fallen Xylar. Billions of aliens replayed that moment again and again, trying to understand what they had just seen. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, the discussion was loud and heated. "They use no energy shields," one shouted. "They have no cyber implants," another argued. "They fight like beasts." "No," said a quiet voice from the corner. "They fight like something we don't understand." Far away on the metal planet that held the arena of worlds, the human team sat in a dim, cold room. Their armor was cracked, their bodies bruised, but their eyes, they burned with calm fire. Captain Eleanor Ward sat alone for a moment, cleaning her blade. The steel was old-fashioned by alien standards, just human metal sharpened to perfection. Yet it had killed one of the galaxy's strongest warriors. Corporal Mason was reloading his weapon again and again, even though there was no need. It was his way to think. Private Liu patched a wound on her shoulder, whispering, "They won't stop now, will they?" Ward shook her head. "No, they'll send more." Outside their cell, alien guards stared at them through the glass. They spoke in low voices. "Do you think they can win again?" "Impossible. Xylar will bring their elites next time. Then the humans will die." But deep inside, none of them truly believed it. The image of the fallen champion still haunted their minds. A metallic voice broke the silence. "Round 2 begins in 1 hour. The humans rose without a word. They didn't need speeches. They already knew their code. The unbroken rule that every soldier from Earth carried in their heart: never leave anyone behind. The second battle began under heavy stormlights. The arena had been changed, larger, darker, with higher walls and moving traps. This time, 10 Xylar soldiers entered, armored with plasma shields that glowed like fire. The crowd screamed in excitement. They believed humanity's luck was about to end, but Captain Ward stood tall. Her team formed a circle, weapons ready. She spoke softly through the comms. "Stay close. Watch each other." "We fight as one." The Xylar roared and charged. Their footsteps made the ground tremble. The first wave hit hard. Mason fired his cannon, but the plasma shields absorbed most of it. Letu switched to pulse grenades, throwing them with perfect timing. The explosions made the arena walls shake, yet the aliens kept coming. Then one of the humans fell, Sergeant Cole. A plasma blade had struck his leg, sending him crashing to the floor. The alien crowd cheered wildly. But before the Xylar could finish him, Private Liu sprinted through the fire, sliding across the ground. She grabbed Cole by the armor and dragged him back behind cover. Plasma bolts hit all around her, but she didn't stop. Mason covered her with suppressive fire. Cole gritted his teeth, bleeding, whispering, "Leave me!" Liu shouted back, "We don't leave anyone." The crowd went silent again. No other species did that. Most soldiers in this arena fought only for survival, never for their comrades. But the humans, they fought for each other. Captain Ward saw an opening. "Mason, left flank." "Liu, with me!" They moved like lightning, fast, focused, fearless. Every movement was teamwork. Every shot, trust. The Xylar commander screamed in frustration, slamming its blade into the floor. It had fought in hundreds of wars, but it had never seen this kind of unity. These small creatures fought as if their lives were connected by something unseen. One by one, the Xylar began to fall. When the last one charged, Captain Ward met it head-on. Their blades clashed, sparks flying. The alien pushed her down, roaring in triumph, but she didn't give up. She locked her eyes on its chest joint, twisted her knife and drove it deep into the armor gap. The creature froze, then collapsed. Silence again. The battle was over. The crowd didn't cheer this time. They didn't know how to react. The humans stood, battered but alive. Cole leaned on Liu's shoulder, half limping. Mason looked up at the alien cameras and said, "You wanted a fight. You got one." In the control tower, alien commanders watched in disbelief. One finally said, "They fight with no fear. They fight for each other. What kind of species are they?" Another replied quietly, "A dangerous one." Captain Ward heard the gates open behind them. Med drones floated in, scanning their wounds. She ignored them. She looked at her team and said, "Rest for now. We'll need our strength." Private Liu smiled weakly. "Captain, how do we keep winning?" Ward looked at her, her voice steady. "Because they fight for pride," she said. We fight for each other. That's our code. That's what they'll never understand. As they walked out of the arena, the alien crowd didn't laugh anymore. They just watched, silent, curious, maybe even afraid. They had come expecting to see humans die. Instead, they had seen something far more terrifying: the unbroken spirit of Earth's soldiers. The arena of worlds had never been so quiet. Every alien in the galaxy was watching. The humans had done the impossible. 2 victories in a row. No one had ever defeated the Xylar twice. Not even the strongest species in the Council. Now the galaxy wanted answers. How could a small, soft race from a forgotten world fight like that? The alien news channels played the footage again and again. Slow-motion shots of humans bleeding, yet still fighting. Of one soldier dragging another through fire. Of their leader, Captain Elena Ward, standing tall in the smoke. They don't fight like machines, one alien analyst said. They fight like they feel. And that word, at feel, confused the galaxy more than anything. Inside the human quarters, the team rested in silence. The med drones had repaired their wounds, but the pain was still there, both in body and in soul. Sergeant Cole sat on the floor, staring at his damaged helmet. They said emotions make us weak, he muttered. Private Lou looked up from her bunk. Maybe that's true, she said softly, but I think that's what keeps us alive. Captain Ward stood by the window, staring out at the stars beyond the arena dome. Her reflection looked tired, older somehow. She remembered her last day on Earth, the blue sky, the children waving, the promise she made. Her commander's voice echoed in her memory. You're not fighting for medals. You're fighting so they can keep looking up at the stars and dream. That memory was aflame, a small burning fire inside her chest, and that fire, that emotion, was what the aliens could never understand. The third battle came faster than expected. The announcement echoed through the halls. Round 3 begins in 20 minutes. The crowd gathered again, louder than ever. Now it wasn't just laughter. It was fear mixed with fascination. Every species wanted to see how far the humans could go. This time, the Xylar Dominion sent not just warriors, but machines, walking metal beasts, half living, half tech. Plasma shields, energy claws, built for destruction. As the humans entered the arena, the air felt heavier. The crowd's roar was like thunder. But Captain Ward didn't flinch. Same plan? Mason asked. No, Ward said. We adapt. We always adapt. The gates opened. The machines roared instant chaos. Plasma fire lit up the night. The ground burned. Humans dove for cover as metal claws tore through walls. The noise was deafening. Cole shouted, "We can't hold this spot." Ward answered, "Then we move." They sprinted through fire and debris. Mason took down one mech with a direct hit to its joint, but a second machine turned and fired. Mason was thrown backward, his armor cracked, his cannon smoking. Lou ran to him instantly. "Mason, can you hear me?" He coughed, blood on his lips. "Still here." "Good," she said, pulling him up. "Then keep fighting." Ward threw a signal grenade, a flash of blue light that confused the machines for a few seconds. It was enough time for her to climb one of the fallen mechs. She jumped onto its back, slicing through the control node with her blade. Sparks flew. The machine collapsed. The crowd gasped. But victory came with a cost. Sergeant Cole was hit by a plasma burst. He fell hard, his armor melting. "Cole!" Lou screamed. Ward rushed over, dragging him out of the fire. His breathing was weak. He looked at her and smiled faintly. "Captain, did we win yet?" Ward held his hand tightly. "Not yet, but we will." Cole's eyes began to fade. "Tell them." We kept the code. And then he was gone. The world seemed to stop for a moment. Even the alien crowd fell silent. Ward closed his eyes. Her heart was heavy, but inside that pain something else began to grow: anger, love, purpose, the fire inside. She rose slowly, covered in ash and blood. Her voice echoed through the comms. "For Cole," she said. The remaining soldiers answered as one. "For Cole." What followed was no longer just a battle. It was fury unleashed. The humans attacked like a storm. Every shot was faster, every move sharper. They fought with rage and heart, their emotions turning into strength. The last mech tried to retreat, but Mason and Liu cornered it. Ward climbed up its front and drove her blade deep into its power core. The explosion lit the sky. When the smoke cleared, the humans stood surrounded by wreckage. The crowd rose to its feet, not to laugh, not to mock, but to salute. From the control tower, an alien general whispered, "They said humans are ruled by emotion. Maybe that's what makes them unstoppable." Captain Ward looked at the stars above, her voice quiet but firm. "They think emotion makes us weak," she said. "But that's our strength. That's what makes us human." And somewhere across the galaxy, in small outposts and crowded cities, billions watched in silence. For the first time, they didn't see humans as weak. They saw them as something terrifying, beings who could turn pain into power, and loss into fire, the fire inside. The third victory of the humans spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every world, every outpost, every military academy watched the recordings again and again. Small, fragile creatures from a forgotten blue world had destroyed the Xylar's war machines, and yet the humans were not celebrating. In their quarters, silence filled the room. Sergeant Cole was gone. His armor lay folded on a table, his helmet cracked down the middle, a silent reminder of the price they had paid. Private Liu sat beside it, her eyes red. Mason stared at the wall, fists clenched. Captain Eleanor Ward stood in front of them, calm but cold. "We keep moving," she said softly. Liu shook her head. "He died for us, Captain." "For all of us," Ward nodded. "Yes, and we'll make sure it wasn't for nothing." She looked out the small window of their cell. Outside, the arena of worlds glowed like fire under the alien suns. Massive shadows moved beyond the gates. The next battle would not be like the others. The voice of the arena AI echoed through the metal halls. "Final round. The Xylar Dominion presents their champion." The crowd roared so loud the ground shook. Every seat was full. Every camera drone hovered in the air. Billions were watching. Then the gate opened, a giant stepped out. Over 4 meters tall, armor black as night, eyes glowing red. It was no ordinary warrior. This was Korathal, the undefeated champion of the Xylar Dominion. Half beast, half machine, a living weapon, he had destroyed armies. He had crushed entire rebel worlds. And now he had one goal: erase the humans from existence. When Captain Ward and her team entered the arena, the size difference was unreal. They looked like ants standing before a mountain. Liu whispered, "How do we fight that?" Ward's voice was steady. "Together. Same as always." The signal sounded. The battle began. Korathal moved faster than expected. His massive blade cut through the air, glowing with plasma energy. The first swing shattered the ground where the humans had just stood. Mason fired his cannon. The shot hit, but the energy bounced off the champion's armor like rain on stone. Liu launched grenades, trying to find a weak point. Nothing worked. The crowd laughed again, thinking it was over, but the humans didn't quit. They moved fast and smart. Mason and Liu split to both sides, forcing Korathal to turn. Ward analyzed every move, watching the rhythm of his steps, the timing of his swings. She noticed something. Each time he attacked, the ground near his feet cracked open slightly. "A flaw, a weakness. His power core is unstable," Ward said. "We use the arena itself." The others understood immediately. The humans didn't have strength, but they had strategy. The fight became chaos. Korathal roared, sending shockwaves through the air. Mason was thrown back, armor breaking. Liu barely dodged a plasma strike, but each time he moved, the humans forced him closer to the arena's center, a section full of old energy vents and cracked floor panels. Liu shouted over the comms, "Captain, he's right where you want him." Ward sprinted forward, bullets flying past her. She jumped, sliding under Korathal's swing. With one hand, she threw a magnetic mine at the cracked ground. With the other, she pulled Mason's detonator from her belt. Korathal turned, raising his sword high to crush her. Ward shouted, "Now!" Mason pressed the trigger. The ground erupted. A column of fire and energy exploded from below, swallowing the champion in light. The blast shook the entire arena. When the smoke cleared, the giant still stood, but his armor was cracked, his blade melted, his systems failing. Sparks flew from his chest. Captain Ward looked up at him, breathing hard. "This is for Earth," she said. She pulled her knife with the same simple steel blade that had ended her first fight and threw it straight into the crack in his core. For 1 second, time stopped. Then the champion fell, crashing to the ground with the sound of thunder. The arena went silent. Billions of aliens stared at their screens in disbelief. The Xylar champion, the undefeated giant, was dead. Liu dropped to her knees, exhausted. Mason walked slowly toward Ward. "Is it over?" Ward nodded. "It's over." The alien announcer's voice trembled as it spoke. "Victory goes to the humans of Earth." The crowd didn't cheer. Instead, slowly, alien after alien stood up. Some bowed their heads, some raised their hands in respect. For the first time in galactic history, the crowd honored humans, not with laughter but with silence. In the command tower above, the Xylar leaders turned away in shame. One whispered, "They are dangerous." Another replied, "No, they are magnificent." Captain Ward looked at the stars above the arena. Her voice was tired but proud. "We didn't win because we were strong," she said. "We won because we never gave up." Mason placed Cole's broken helmet on the ground beside her. "For him," he said. Ward nodded. "For all of us." As the lights dimmed and the human flag appeared on the big screen, the galaxy finally understood what power truly meant. Not claws. Not armor, but heart, courage, and the will to rise again. That was the fall of giants. And the rise of humanity. Every seat was emptying, yet billions across the galaxy were still watching. The humans had done what no one thought possible. They had defeated the Xylar Dominion, crushed their champion, and survived every impossible trial the Council had thrown at them. And yet, the humans did not celebrate with shouts or fireworks. Their eyes were calm, their faces tired, their bodies broken. They stood together as one, silent in victory. Captain Elena Ward looked around her team. Mason leaned on a broken pillar. Liu's armor was scorched, but their spirits were unbroken. Ward felt a pang of sorrow, for those they had lost, for Sergeant Cole, and for every human who had sacrificed themselves to protect the rest. But there was pride, too. Pride in survival, pride in courage, and pride in the simple truth they had proven to the galaxy. Being human was more than strength or weapons. It was heart, spirit, and will. From the observation deck, the Galactic Council watched. Aliens of every shape and color murmured among themselves. One council member finally spoke, voice trembling. "They are different. Not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most powerful, yet they won," another whispered. "They fight with something we cannot measure, something dangerous, something real." A third added quietly, "They fight for each other. Not for medals, not for glory, not for conquest. They fight for love, for home, for hope." The humans heard none of this. They had never cared for applause. They had never sought fame. What drove them forward was simple: loyalty, courage, and the promise they made to one another. The crowd had gathered outside the arena now, watching the humans exit. Alien species who had once laughed, mocked, or scoffed, now bowed their heads or stood in silence. Some even raised their banners in respect, a gesture that shocked the human observers. Captain Ward's voice broke the quiet. Calm yet strong. "You wanted to see our weapons," she said, her voice echoing across the arena comms. "But weapons alone do not win battles. Strength alone does not survive war. What you saw today is what it means to be human." Mason, leaning on her side, added quietly, "It's not about winning. It's about never giving up, even when the world tells you you're weak. Even when everything is against you." Private Liu nodded. "It's about the fire inside, the courage to keep going, even when hope is gone." Far across the galaxy, soldiers of other species began recording what they had seen. They whispered among themselves, "If humans can fight like that, what chance do we have?" And some, for the first time, felt admiration, even fear, because the humans had shown them something the galaxy had never seen. Heart could overcome any machine, courage could defeat any giant, and spirit could survive even the impossible. On Earth, children looked up at the night sky. They saw the stars and imagined the blue soldiers who had traveled across the galaxy. Soldiers who were small, fragile, and human, yet unstoppable. Stories of their courage began to spread, not as legends of power, but as lessons of hope. The humans walked home from the arena together. Their armor was battered, their bodies tired, but their steps were steady. Behind them, the flag of Earth waved high on the arena's screen, not as a symbol of war, but as a symbol of what humanity truly was: resilience, unity, and heart. Captain Ward paused and looked up at the stars once more. Her voice was soft, almost to herself. "We didn't win because we were strong. We didn't win because we were smart. We won because we never stopped believing. That's what it means to be human, Mason smiled. And maybe that's something the galaxy will never forget. The arena of worlds was quiet now. The Xylar Dominion retreated. The council debated in silence. The galaxy would remember the humans, not as weak creatures from a small forgotten planet, but as a force unlike any other, bound not by power, but by something far greater: heart, courage, and the unbreakable will to survive. The final words echoed in the minds of every viewer, human and alien alike. They mocked Earth soldiers, then learned what human really means, and in that quiet across the stars, humanity had carved its place among the galaxy, not through fear, not through terror, but through spirit, the fire inside that no one could ever extinguish.